Now!
Now!
Now! Well, now! Do it now!
We're live!
Oh, no! Where's Rachel?
Where's Rachel?
Where's Rachel? Where's the bathroom?
Where's Harvey?
Where's the nearest Jack in the Box? I've got a coupon. It's 2 for 1 Jumbo Jacks.
Remember when we found that Batman mask in Alicante?
Yes. Batman, where's your car? My car's in the car shop.
It's getting worked on.
Gas is really expensive right now.
I have to grab a look everywhere. It sucks.
It sucks.
My shoulders hurt.
It's not very convenient for me, but it's really good for the environment, so I allow it.
I tried to get a ride with Jim Gordon, but he wouldn't pick me up.
It was really awkward when I got my Uber in the Batman suit in front of Wayne Manor. Uber driver was asking questions, and I ended up convincing him that I just had a one-night stand with Bruce Wayne. Oh my gosh. Welcome everyone to the Moderately Interesting Podcast, where you can expect stuff just like this every week for 10,000 episodes straight.
10,000.
10,000 episodes of Batman going, "Where's Rachel?"
Hey, this is episode 14, so we have 9,986 episodes left.
So you're saying, and then we cut to a clip of, "It's over 9,000!"
We got a ways
Mitch,
to go. Yeah.
We got a ways to go. Mitch, this is last time we did we're doing our new segments now. We're doing our new portfolio of episodes.
Yep. These are like our special topics.
Yeah,
maybe.
that is not the right verb though that I use. Portfolio. That's just wrong. But
Could be a verb.
We're gonna roll with it though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today we're just gonna talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah,
whatever
we got a good list of stuff here.
Yeah. Man, let's.
What are we gonna talk about today?
Oh man, we got so much to talk about, Mitch. Just kind of stuff that we want to talk about. I want to talk about Harry Potter. I want to rant with you about Harry Potter for a minute.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about E3 because that just ended, and just general thoughts. Did you watch any E3?
I didn't watch any, but I saw a lot of the announcements.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to talk about who we each think won E3.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Avengers Land, or AKA Avengers Campus in California Adventure.
Nice.
Gonna give you guys a review of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pitch you instead of Mitch's minute, Mitch. We're gonna do Aaron's antics. I think is what I'm gonna call it.
Aaron's antics. That's a great one. Yep.
And I'm gonna pitch you my idea of this isn't what I think Spiderverse 2 is gonna be, but what I want Spiderverse 2 to be.
Right.
/ a review of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon because I finished watching that.
Perfect.
And Mitch and I started playing Sea of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
We started that the other day, and it was a lot of fun. And that we're going to talk about that with their new Pirates of the Caribbean stuff that they just put in,
which we have not really been exposed to yet, but it's there.
I'm exposed to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
I'll say that. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will just say a hashtag a pirate's life for me.
And we got to talk about something even more moderately interesting than all of that, which is what beverage do you prefer? Yeah,
this is I just had right before this episode started, Mitch. I just had a Dr. Pepper with cherry, no sugar, zero sugar.
Zero sugar.
Zero
nice.
sugar. I just had one of those. It was really good, Mitch. Really good.
Good.
Really good.
I also just had
right
before this a Dr. Pepper, regular Dr. Pepper with zero sugar.
Okay, how was that?
Also really good. Yeah.
I've started doing a lot of these zero sugar kind of things because I am trying to cut down on the calories, cutting down on the carbs, and soda is just a quick way of consuming both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And we what am I saying? I also had, not today, but earlier this week, I had a Coke Zero Cherry Coke Zero, and that was also fantastic. And I think that might be my new current favorite drink right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good too.
Yeah. What's your favorite soda of all time though?
Dr. Pepper.
Just regular old Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper's up there for me.
And if I consume it, I'm kind of drinking the zeros for the same reason. Just don't want to be drinking the calories. I know that there's things in them that aren't good for you, but I'm
willing to roll that dice.
Yeah, I'd rather kind of. I enjoy soda pop, so yeah, I would like to get to the point where I can just drink an occasional soda pop, but I made it a habit to drink a lot of soda pop. So
sure, yeah, it's everywhere.
Gotta cut down.
'Cause you're everywhere to me, and when I close my eyes, it's Coke I see.
Or Dr. Pepper.
But that doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't.
Neither did Coke, so I don't know.
It fit though. It fit.
Yeah, I made it fit.
But yeah, Dr. Pepper is my favorite.
Okay. Give me a number two.
Number two, I like Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew? Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Sorry, I want to ask you though. You're at a restaurant, whether it's a sit-down restaurant or a fast food restaurant, and they're like, "What can I get for your drink?" And you're like, "Dr. Pepper," and they say, "Is Mr. Pibb okay?" What's your answer?
I'm kind of like, that's fine.
Okay.
If there's a Mr. Pibb and a Dr. Pepper sitting next to each other on a shelf, and Mr. Pibb is $149 and Dr. Pepper is $169, I'm gonna buy the Dr. Pepper.
First of all, nice.
You caught it.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm gonna buy the Dr. Pepper.
You're gonna buy the Dr. Pepper, even though it's 20 cents more expensive.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess that's fair. I really like Pibb.
Pibb isn't bad. I'm not saying anything about Pibb. I'm just like, Dr. Pepper is my go-to.
They are shockingly different for being in the same category, though.
Yeah.
But I used to work at a McDonald's. That was my first part-time job when I was in high school. And they didn't have Dr. Pepper back then. Back then, McDonald's had Pibb.
Yep.
And I grew to really love Pibb. I developed a weird superpower working at McDonald's. Where
you went home with like tons of fries.
No, that was just. That's not a power. That's just you go home with a lot of fries. That's not really a power.
Some might consider it a superpower.
Some might. No, if for some reason the drinks got mixed up and we couldn't tell them apart, if we had a Coke, a Diet Coke, and a Pibb, I could just pick up the drink, smell it, and then be like, "That's a Coke. That's a Diet Coke. That's a Pibb."
That is a superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a really weird thing, but it happened, or at least back when I was working there, it happened fairly regularly.
Right.
And they would just be like, "Aaron, is this a Coke or a Diet Coke?" And I'd just be like, "Oh, this one's a Diet Coke."
Speaking of superpowers.
Yes.
You went to Avengerland campus.
I went to Avengerland campus. Yes, it's actually. I know everybody's just going to call it Avengerland, just like everybody calls it Star Wars Land.
Harry Potter Land.
Harry Potter Land, even though they all have their actual proper names. Galaxy's Edge, Wizarding World
of Harry Potter.
And this is Avengers Campus.
Right.
But yes, I am very fortunate, lucky, because my friend who works at Disneyland got to go to the cast preview.
Nice.
And she invited me to go with her.
Nice.
And I got to go to California Adventure and go get to try the ride. So here is my review of Avengers Campus.
I'm ready.
It's pretty cool. That's my review. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
No, okay, so we got there. And Disney is doing this thing where you have to get a virtual pass to get on Spider-Man and or the Star Wars ride.
Like what they're doing, with
Rise of Resistance.
Yeah,
exactly. It's the exact same system.
Okay.
So we got there, and it's basically like a regular day at the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we get there, and I think it was 10 a.m. We got to try to grab the virtual pass for the Spider-Man ride.
Okay.
And so we did that at 10 a.m. and we got like group 9, I think, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
We got group 9, which is awesome.
9.
Super cool. So then after that, we got to go to Disney has like this store opened up now in the back of California Adventure, where they have all of the merchandise in Avengers Land. It's just right there in this room.
Okay.
So I'm actually wearing it right now. I got a Spider-Man t-shirt. I'm wearing it right now. And then so I guess like let's pause for a second. The Spider-Man ride that's coming out that's out right now. It's not coming out. It is officially out. You can go and ride it right now if you're willing to spend the money. It is like a mixture of like Star Tours.
Okay.
And Toy Story Midway Mania / Buzz Lightyear.
So like it's got a game with it.
Yeah.
And then you also have like the soaring over California effect where it feels like you're flying through the air with the screen in front of you.
Yeah, so you're cool. It's kind of more like the Forbidden Journey or whatever at Harry Potter.
Can I chime in something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you brought up Star Tours.
Yes.
That is my all-time favorite ride ever.
Star Tours is your favorite ride?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't care what anyone thinks about that.
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I'm definitely not going to say you're right.
It's my favorite ride.
Okay.
And I'll talk about that another day.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like that. So the basic premise of the ride, or the whole land, is just that this is like a little satellite campus where the Avengers can hang out and you can meet the Avengers, kind of a thing. And
is it kind of like in the Avengers movies how they've got that little base that's kind of in like upstate New York?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Feel.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Cool.
There is like a whole behind the scenes story about it that I don't know nearly as well as other people do. Yeah. And so I won't say the whole thing. But basically, like, it's kind of like a way for like the public and the Avengers to kind of like mingle. And so like for the attraction, you're kind of like going through the attraction, and there are these little spider robots. Spiderbots is what they're called. And Tom Holland, I mean Peter Parker, but Tom Holland is there. And like so you're going through the queue, and then like there's like a little movie that plays, and Tom Holland comes out.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, like these are little spider bots. They're so cool. I'm Mr. Stark's assistant. And these are the spider bots. They help us out and they replicate. And then like the spider bot like makes a clone of itself. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then like they end up getting into like radioactive material, I think. And like they just start like multiplying like way too crazy. And like Tom Holland, Peter Parker's like, oh no, let me go get Spider-Man. And then like he like runs away, and then he comes back in as like Spider-Man, and he's like, okay guys, like these things are going crazy. I need your help to stop them. And he's like, you guys can now you guys now have my web shooters. Right. And you can just web them up. Like when you like when you see them, web them up, and whoever gets the most wins. We'll make a game out of it. And you're like, oh, okay. And
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, then you get into the attraction, and then like you got the screen, but you're moving, like the actual attraction is moving. And then you just make the Spider-Man, or you make the web symbol with your hands, and that's how you shoot. You're just shooting with your hands.
So you don't have to like wear a gadget of some kind. You just
no, sir. Yeah, it's just your fingers, and you're just like flick, and you're trying to get like all the different spiders as they come up, and then it turns into like the Toy Story ride and the Buzz Lightyear ride, where you're just trying to get as many points and hit them.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's different spiders and they give you different points. And yeah, and then like Tom Holland will pop in and he's like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many of them!" And then you're like, "Ah!" Yeah.
Did you
and
win?
No, I did not win.
Okay.
I will not lie. My friend Katie definitely beat me very well at that game.
Okay.
I'm not very good at like either. I'm not good at Mania. My friend like absolutely destroys me every time it's like not even close.
Right.
When I go on that one, and then Buzz Lightyear I do okay on, but like I'm definitely not the best.
To make you feel better, my wife beat me at all of this that we went on at Disneyland.
Yeah, I'm not very good at those ones.
Yeah.
So I'm good at other stuff though. I can say that.
There's too many on some of those. It's like there's too many lasers and targets from other people, and I always lose mine.
Yeah.
I'm like pointed at some random empty spot on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Oh, there I am.
Oh, there
Jeez.
you are. Oh
yeah.
man. Yeah. So you don't need anything on the ride. You just use your fingers and you make the Spider-Man web slinging symbol, the universal sign that everybody recognizes.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you want, you can go to the stores and you can buy a Spider-Man web slinger,
mm-hmm.
and it interacts with the ride.
Wow.
So you can have it and you can wear it, and there's different attachments that you can get. You
can customize it?
Yeah. So
yeah, that's cool.
I bought one
uh-huh.
because of course, and I was using that to do my web shooters.
Right.
And so like there's like different things. So like on mine, you had the regular webs, but then if I hit a button, I could have electro webs. And if I use that, then I could short circuit multiple targets at the same time.
Nice.
And that was really cool. They have like the Iron Man gauntlet, so you can like instead of web slinging, you're just shooting Iron Man like plasma,
lasers.
like lasers. Yeah. Yeah. And then there is like I think it's meant to be like a Spider Gwen one, but I don't know what that one does. So
that sounds awesome.
That was really cool. Yeah. And then I saw. I mean, like you could see like all the characters. I saw Steve Rogers. I saw Thor. Mm-hmm. I saw. Did I see Gamora? I think I saw Gamora, but I don't remember now. And then I saw a show where the Dora Milaje. I remembered. Hey, the Dora Milaje came out and they did like a whole little thing, and it was really cool.
That's awesome.
And then they have a little restaurant there called Pim's Test Kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And like they have like different foods that you can try, different special drinks. Like their big thing though is they literally have a huge pretzel that you can have.
Ooh.
It's like huge, where it's like obviously meant to be split between people. Like,
yeah, sounds like cool. Something I would eat by myself.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I had the menu is interesting. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because they know that like Marvel, like I feel like the thought process is like the average age of a Star Wars fan is probably like on the older side.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking they think the average age of the Marvel fan is on the younger side.
Right.
And I think the reason why I think that is because the Star Wars land has a bar.
Yes.
And it's one of the only places at Disneyland that you can get alcohol.
Uh-huh.
And then in California Adventure, it's a lot more simpler food. And so like what I had was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with caramelized bacon in it.
Oh, nice. That sounds good.
It was okay. I think calling it caramelized bacon was a little bit of a stretch, but it was good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. It was good. But yeah, like I think like a lot of like the menu is like a lot like simpler. It's a lot like
appeasing to kids.
Yeah. And I get the idea that it's meant to be like grab and go, like grab your sandwich, get back out there and meet the Avengers and stuff like that. Like
yeah. And especially right now with everything going on in the world, like I noticed that when I went to Disney World in February, a lot of it's like we don't want lines.
Yeah.
So they're just like, get your food and get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah.
So it was all, you couldn't get like a sit down meal.
Yeah.
Like you can in a lot of places, usually.
Yeah.
It's always just like hot dog.
It's a quick service restaurant, so it's not like you're sitting down and then somebody's taking your order, like the server comes up and take. It's like, no, I want the peanut butter sandwich. Okay, here's your tray of food. Go find a seat if you can find one. If not, get out of here. But they also have a bar at the PIM kitchen, and stuff like that. And again, kind of going off, like they had like a special drink that was non-alcoholic, and it was meant to be like a peanut butter jelly like smoothie. So like I had like a peanut butter jelly sandwich and a peanut butter jelly smoothie. I thought it was okay. It's not like the best drink I've ever had. My friend Katie tried it. She did not like it at all.
It's theme park food too.
Yeah.
Which I know Disney has they're kind of like the better of all the theme parks when it comes to food, but it is still
theme park food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I enjoyed it. But my friend did not enjoy it, so 50-50. Yeah. Maybe I'll like it, maybe you don't.
So overall, what do you rank? What would you rate your experience?
Yeah, so it's a little hard to do that right now.
Okay.
Because I didn't get to do everything.
Right.
I didn't get to have a shawarma, and I wish I would have gotten a shawarma because they have shawarma there.
Yeah.
Yeah. As made famous at the end of Avengers, the first Avengers. But they have a shawarma cart that you can just grab a shawarma.
Nice.
And then the other part too about this is they've said before that Avengers Campus is going to be opening up in phases, and that this is just phase 1, and then phase 2 is going to add another attraction.
Okay.
But that's not open yet, and so in Avengers Campus you have the Spider-Man attraction, and you have Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is now which was Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I love Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one of my favorite rides in California Adventure / Disneyland.
And that's been open for quite a while, right? It's
been open for like 2017, 2018?
Yeah.
3-4 years now?
Yeah, it was only a few years after the first movie came out, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
it's kind of hard because I feel like there's still more coming out. There's still more potential. I don't necessarily think it's something where it's like, I live in Kansas, I'm going to fly to California just for Avengers Campus.
I was just going to ask, is it worth the trip now, or is it worth waiting till other parts of it open up?
It might be worth it later. It's probably going to be, it's probably going to be worth it later in a couple of years. Now, again, Disneyland is kind of an interesting thing where it's like, if you buy a park hopper ticket, and you're going to Disneyland and California Adventure, or you buy a multi-day ticket where you're going to do both parks, then heck yeah, it's worth it because you get to do Star Wars, you get to do Marvel, and then you have everything else that Disneyland and California Adventure has. Then yeah, that's worth it. But like, if you're like, I just want this,
right?
Maybe wait then.
How I went to Universal just to go to Harry Potter.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's worth it.
And it was worth it for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's worth it if I'm in California to fly all the way to Florida to do Universal's Harry Potter or Orlando's Harry Potter because it's infinitely better than the Los Angeles one.
Right.
But it's going to be very interesting to see in the future because, obviously they're going to add on to it. Obviously more stuff is going to come at some point, whether it's in the immediate future or down the line. And because of the way that the Marvel amusement park rights work, and Disney World is basically never going to get anything Avengers related over in Florida.
Yeah.
So all kinds of fun stuff. Maybe at some point we'll have somebody on who can explain it extremely well and better than I could.
I'd love to hear about that stuff.
Yeah, about the Marvel Universal fiasco that is the rights to their theme park attractions.
Right.
But if I were to give it a final grade, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, yeah. And to be fair, I think it's already getting better. I think the music park's already getting better since when I went. Because I was there for the preview, and like we said the other day, like they've got Loki out there, and he's already, matching his show and stuff like that. So
right,
the
TV integrated.
Yeah,
it's like an experience because most people that are there are probably watching the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're seeing it in real time as well. So
yeah, and like
cool.
like when I was there, Falcon Cap, Sam Wilson as Cap wasn't there, but now he's there.
Right.
Seeing Spider-Man, you can see Spider-Man web sling now, which they didn't do that when I was there.
I've seen that, yeah.
So it's definitely already. I think it's when I went, it was probably like a soft 8. Right. I think at this point already, only a couple weeks later, it's already like a solid 8, maybe even a soft, 8.5, whatever. I think it's already getting better since I've been there. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I'm glad it's got a lot of. I'm glad that they're already talking about like the future of it, because sometimes you don't really know what's coming. So it's nice to hear that they're going to add more attractions and you kind of assume that they would with that because it's one of their biggest.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest IPs in the world. Yeah.
So with Marvel, do you want to talk about the cartoon you've been watching?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So actually,
we're kind of in the Marvel.
Yeah, and actually, after I went to the land, I was like so into Spider-Man. I was like all Spider-Man. I had a web slinger. I have a Spider-Man shirt now. I'm all into Spider-Man. So I started rewatching the 90s cartoon. That's the X-Men.
I thought it was Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Oh, I thought you were doing.
No, but I do like that one too. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. I ended up finishing that whole series in like 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super long, but it still holds up pretty well. Still holds up pretty good.
Now, is it just one season?
It's like 5 seasons. It's like 6
5 seasons.
Yeah.
There's one show that's like one season, but it's got like 40-something episodes. I can't remember which one.
Power Rangers.
Probably, yeah.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 1. It's like 45 episodes or something like that.
Okay.
Ridiculous like that. I want to pitch you, Mitch, my idea for Spiderverse 2. Okay.
Is this the sequel of Spiderverse 1?
Yes.
So it'll be playing off of that.
Yes, it'll be playing off of that. I don't
know why I asked that, because you said Spider-Verse 2, so it's like obviously it's okay.
Yes. No, I just want to clarify. I don't think this is what's going to happen in Spider-Verse 2. This is just, for some reason, Sony came to me and they're like, for whatever reason, Aaron, we cannot get the Spider-Verse 2 script working. We need your help. Like, will you write the script for us? And I'd be like,
right.
Here we go. Okay. Bring
it on.
But before I pitch it, I need to go over plot points of the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. Okay. I'm not going to go like super deep into the story of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But in that story, a couple of things happen. Obviously, Peter Parker and Mary Jane are a thing in that cartoon. And at one point in the show, Norman Osborn figures out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Okay, and they start fighting, and Green Goblin kidnaps Mary Jane.
Okay.
Part of the story is Green Goblin has stolen this technology, which basically lets him make portable black holes, and he can transport/teleport himself basically anywhere.
Right.
Okay. So Spider-Man is fighting Green Goblin, who has Mary Jane captive on, like, I think it's supposed to be like the Brooklyn Bridge. I don't know. I've never been to New York. But like, yeah, they're fighting and they're doing their thing. And Peter ends up damaging Goblin's portal thing that he has. Right. And it starts going haywire, and it goes on and off kind of at random points. And during their fight, like, the bridge starts to collapse, and Mary Jane falls off the bridge. And while she's falling off, Peter's like, I gotta save Mary Jane. And so he like runs over to try to like save her with his web slingers. But before that happens, and what nobody sees except for us as the audience, is as she's falling, the portal gun, I'm just gonna call it the portal gun, the portal gun turns on, sucks up Mary Jane, and then turns off. And Peter doesn't see that. Nobody realizes that's what happened.
Right.
So he's like, oh no, she fell. And so he like dives after her because he thinks she fell into the water. And he's like looking for her and he can't find her. He can't find her. And Mary Jane is gone. Like nobody knows what happened to Mary Jane. She is missing. And everybody thinks she's dead. And like a couple of episodes go by, like 4 or 5, 6 episodes, which is like a long time for a cartoon.
Yeah.
Slash, it's a new season. So like that was like the season finale of like Mary Jane like disappearing, and then like the new season starts, and then like 6 episodes in, Mary Jane returns. She's just back.
Just and no questions asked. She's there.
She's there. She has amnesia. She doesn't remember what happened.
Right.
And that goes on for a while. Like she doesn't remember. She kind of has her whole story. All not important. But what ends up happening is Peter reveals the secret identity to her, and they get married.
Okay.
So Peter and MJ are married. Okay, cool. That's, like the comics. And then a kind of a new subplot happens where Peter is... I know this is a lot, but bear with me, folks. Bear with me. There's this new character, Madam Web, who is like this like cosmic, powerful entity, and is like, Spider-Man, there's stuff going on, and like I need your help, and I need to test you, yada yada yada. And this is kind of like the first like version of Spiderverse, essentially. Before Spiderverse was a thing, this happened, where they bring in like all of these different Spider-Men. There is like billionaire Peter Parker who has like almost like Iron Man like suit. There is like mutant Spider-Man where he has like 8 arms. He's got like spider arms.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I remember seeing the action figures of that too.
Yeah, and then there is like Dr. Octopus Spider-Man where he's got Doc Ock's arms. And then there's like a couple other ones, and then there's just like one who's like, I don't have superpowers. And then like they kind of do their thing where like the cartoon Spider-Man is like the leader of the Spider-Men, and they do this mission where they have to save everyone. But yeah, anyway, so what ends up
is the one that doesn't have powers, is it still Peter Parker?
It's still Peter Parker, yeah.
So it's just like Peter Parker without powers.
Yeah, that ends up being like our Peter Parker, like the Peter Parker from our world.
Okay.
And he's just the actor playing Spider-Man.
Oh,
is like how they're doing that. And then
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, and then the
other thing I was going to ask, is he really smart, or is he just like an actor? Not that actors aren't smart, but
yeah, they didn't play on that at all.
Okay.
Whether he's smart or not. Yeah, and then like that story ends up ending with like the cartoon Spider-Man going to like the real world and meeting Stan Lee. It's just like really funny and weird.
That is funny.
Yeah. Anyways,
Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah. Before that happens, so like this is kind of all happening over various episodes. What ends up happening though is Hydro Man comes, and Hydro Man was already introduced in the story, but he's Mary Jane's like abusive ex-boyfriend.
Wow.
And he comes back and he like kidnaps Mary Jane, and he's like, I love you, we're made for each other, blah blah blah. And long story short, it turns out that Hydro Man like kidnapped a scientist and had the scientist, so Hydro Man figured out that Mary Jane was missing and presumed dead. He kidnapped the scientist, and the scientist cloned Mary Jane. And
okay, so it's a clone of Mary Jane.
Yeah, it's a clone.
That's why she doesn't remember anything.
And that's why she doesn't remember anything. And it's a clone of Mary Jane, who has like Hydro Man's powers too.
Okay.
And the clone ends up like dissolving and dying, because like the material that was like used to make the clone was not like mixed the right way. Whatever, it just didn't last.
While they're making out on the couch.
Yes, exactly.
Just kidding. That'd be creepy.
Yeah, but yeah. So this Mary Jane ends up dying, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not the real Mary Jane. The real Mary Jane is still missing." And so, yeah, anyways, then we kind of go back to like this, like the Spider-Man thing where Spider-Man and the Spider-Man are doing their story, blah, blah, blah. They save the universe. They save like the parallel multiverse, in the story. And then Madam Web is like, hey, you did a great job. I'm going to help you find Mary Jane. She's lost in another dimension.
Okay.
Like another reality. And you're like, okay, cool. And that's how that season ends. And there's no new seasons after that. The series ends after that. It gets canceled.
So my question is, are you going to be basically Spider-Verse 2? Are you going to be branching into, like, would you basically start where that ended?
Yeah, it would pick up. Yeah, so my Spider-Verse 2 would pick up with like Miles Morales. He's still Spider-Man. He's been Spider-Man for a while.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought like all the plot points out of this, but like maybe at some point, he sees a red-haired woman, and like maybe he helps her, maybe she helps him get out of trouble or something like that.
Yeah.
And then at some point in the middle of like the night, he gets pulled by Madam Web into like Madam Web has like her own little void that she can just pull people into. And so she's like, hey, you're not exactly who I was looking for, but you'll do. And then she's like, I don't think I need to introduce you to Peter Parker. And then the 90s Spider-Man Peter Parker comes out from like the fog.
Yes.
And he's like, hey. And then he's like, and so then they kind of like talk for a little bit. And he's like, yeah, like Madam Web has told me a little bit about you. I think that's super cool, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I have been searching for my wife, but not really his wife anymore because Mary Jane never actually married him.
They're not actually married.
They're not actually married.
But he is.
But legally they are, because legally Mary Jane married. So that's going to be a weird thing. But yeah, anyways, and he's like, I am looking for my Mary Jane, and I have reason to believe that she's here. And and then like, I'm not really sure like who I think it would be cool if they brought back like one of the main bad guys in the Spider-Man cartoon was like a Peter Parker who gets Carnage on him, and like
the black suit,
the red suit.
No, the red suit.
Yeah, the red suit, and it just makes Peter crazy. So I think that would be like a cool bad guy as like a Peter Parker, kind of like a Loki is the bad guy in Loki.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it would just be really cool after all of these years if we actually got some closure on the Spider-Man cartoon. And like, yeah, maybe they kind of jump from reality to reality, and like, yeah, we can get some of the old Spider-Man from the previous movie in there, helping out. But yeah, like that's kind of like my pitch is like that this is the Spider-Verse 2 is secretly an ending to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. And I think it'd be cool if we got like it was like a homage to like a lot of the Spider-Man cartoons where we got like the 90s Spider-Man in there, we got the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon in there. We even get Neil Patrick Harris as a Spider-Man because he was a Spider-Man in the early 2000s in a cartoon on MTV.
Was he really?
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Yeah, and I think that'd be really funny if we get like all of these Spider-Man cartoon actors to come back and reprise their roles as Spider-Man in the movie.
Legend, wait for it.
Derry Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that it would fit. Obviously, I think the possibilities are endless when you're dealing with a multiverse of sorts. When you're dealing with
a Spiderverse, if you would.
You can't you can't really go wrong as far as like the characters you can introduce in the storyline. It's just a matter of keeping people entertained and having a good plot.
Yeah, and like, well, not quite as like renowned. Like what I'm trying to say is like you have what's his name, Kevin. The
Malone.
Kevin. The guy who did the 90s Batman cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that guy is like for a lot of people, that guy is Batman.
Yes, for me, he's Batman. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
and like I agree with that because he is in, he's in the cartoon, he's in Batman Beyond, he plays Bruce Wayne. He is in a lot of Spider-Man animated movies.
Conroy,
Kevin Conroy, yeah. Yeah, he is, he reprised his role in the Arkham series.
Yep.
So for a lot of people, like that is like when people are like, who's the best Batman? Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, or,
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people will
usually
say
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy is like rarely in the conversation unless you are an actual Batman fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think a lot of like real Batman fans are gonna say Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
And in a way, I agree with that. I think Kevin Conroy, like at least for me, when I hear a Batman's voice when I'm reading a comic or something like that, that's the voice that I imagine. Right.
When I first started playing, I know this is a tangent. Batman tangent because we were talking about Spider-Man. But when I first started playing the Arkham games, I remember hearing his voice and being like, "Oh my gosh, that's the guy from the cartoon that I used to watch." And then I got back into that rabbit hole and started watching it again.
Oh yeah, my
reaction
playing Arkham Asylum for the first time was like.
And they brought Mark Hamill back too.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about that. But it's like, oh yeah, it makes you feel like Batman. And then like they have Kevin Conroy speaking, and I'm like, what's his name from Emperor's New Groove? Kronk. I'm just like Kronk. I'm like, oh, I can feel it. Yeah. So like, well, Kevin Conroy for a lot of people is like definitively Spider-Man. The guy who plays the '90s cartoon Batman isn't quite like up to that level. But I imagine, I think a lot of people, when they think of Spider-Man, they think of the 90s cartoon because that's the cartoon that they grew up watching Spider-Man on. And I can
definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, if they're like, hey, and it was rumored, hey, the 90s Spider-Man actor is going to be in Spiderverse. I think a lot of people would eat that up and love that.
Yeah. Even if they have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
I watched that. Cool.
And I think that'd be great. And then like if they got the guy from Spectacular Spider-Man, I think a lot of people would like that because that was also a very popular show.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was saying, if they can get like everyone back, I don't think they'll get Drake Bell back though.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah.
Who did he play?
He was Spider-Man in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. Which is not the current one, but the previous current one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
He would have a good voice. I can see that.
Yeah, he had a good voice. Just the cartoon itself was not very good.
Right.
But in Marvel's Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers cartoon that I keep plugging, Spider-Man shows up a few times in that one, and he's played by Drake Bell, and it's done really well. Like because it's a good script and a good story, and like. Yeah, that's good.
Right.
But we probably won't get him back anytime soon.
No. He's the villain now.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Allegedly.
I
mean, but he did plead guilty, so. Allegedly.
And that's what I appreciate about you.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Letterkenny, have you?
No, I have not. Sorry.
Yeah, they say allegedly.
Oh.
A lot. It's funny.
Allegedly. But yeah, that is yeah.
That's your pitch.
That's my pitch.
Yeah.
There it is.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I think we should throw this on YouTube and get everyone to like it and
get everyone to like it.
Share it, and
I mean
Disney will eventually hear about it, and
if we don't get
not Disney, Sony.
If we don't get that, which is fine, right? Like if we don't get that, I'm not expecting it. But like Disney owns the animated rights to Spider-Man now. Disney has Disney Plus. Just throw a mini series, like a mini season of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, like
what you did with Clone Wars.
Like what you did with Clone Wars, or like Samurai Jack, and like
that would be so cool.
Like just give us like a ending that's only 5-6 episodes, but like give us an ending. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Give us a real ending.
Yeah.
For me, awesome. For me, I mean, like, I think I might be one of the only people who like rewatched that series, but like, I need a proper ending now.
Yeah. And your pitch is basically killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly.
Possibly more than two birds if
maybe
you want to do other things with it.
Do other things, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too that HBO Max, like they're like, yo, we need subscribers. Mm-hmm. There is still a giant fan base for the Batman animated series. Like,
oh yeah,
let's just make a new Batman. Like let's just make a continuation of Batman. It's not that and guess what?
You can find someone to animate just like that.
Yeah, and they announced that, and then everybody was like, yeah, like. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like, absolutely. And then, like,
finally.
Same thing with Samurai Jack. They're just like, hey, we're finally gonna do the ending to Samurai Jack, and people are like, yes, like, it's all I ever wanted. Like,
yep,
yeah, it's a win-win. Disney, do it. Put in the Emperor's voice right there. Do it. Yeah, please do that.
Or Dwight, do it now. 3, 2, 1.
You'll sign me control over to Spiderman.
And you'll sell me your Xterra.
You are pre-fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about E3.
Okay.
What game stuck out the most to you? I know you didn't watch it, but you've seen a lot of the announcements. Was there any game in particular that was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, well, I'm gonna do 2 games.
Perfect. I've done a lot of talking, so go ahead, talk, my friend.
Yeah. So, the first game for me is Halo Infinite.
Okay.
Which that was already announced, so it wasn't really like a surprise. I wasn't really. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really surprised by. Nothing really stuck out to me. Mm-hmm. The ones that did stick out to a lot of people, I haven't played either the prequel or like the one before, like Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. I haven't played the first one of that.
Oh so my gosh, dude!
I have played like an hour of it on my brother-in-law's console, but I haven't played it myself.
Breath of the Wild, man.
I've never gotten into the Zelda games at all.
I just got to say real quick, when Breath of the Wild came out, I was enthralled by that game. Mm-hmm. And like, I was at the point in my life where I was like, I enjoy video games. I enjoy playing them, but like, I don't think I'm like really into video games anymore. Because like when that came out, it was like Call of Duty and like Assassin's Creed every year. And like, it's just like, yeah, I still enjoy games. I still play games, but like, I don't really think I'm into video games anymore. And then Breath of the Wild came out, and I was like, I cannot believe that like I can love a game this much still. Like that there's like a game can come out and I can just be absolutely into that game. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people feel that way, and I'm sure if I played it, I would feel that way. I just haven't ever really played it.
Yeah. Again,
I have played about an hour of it, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't know what I was doing. It's like where you're trying to figure it out. Yeah. I don't know Link. Like, I don't know that character very well. I never played any of the other games leading up to that. So I just didn't really fall into it as much. But I gotcha. I do understand for the fans that that's a big announcement because of how well liked the first one was.
Yeah.
And then for me, Halo was one, just because I like Halo. That was one that I played a lot with my friends growing up. So I'm always excited for a new Halo, even though I'm not like I'm going to buy that the second it comes out. I'm kind of like, if it's on Game Pass, I'll download it and play it. But if it's not, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to wait till I hear about it because of how Halo 5 went. And then the big one for me that I'm excited about, which is, I don't know if it was even an E3 thing, but Far Cry 6. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, they definitely showed off a lot of Far Cry 6.
I'm very excited about that. Although I do think that Gus Fring / Giancarlo Esposito, is that his name? I do think he is a little bit overused right now, but I think he's going to fit that role really well as the villain of that game.
Yeah, I think he's
that game is all about the villain.
Yeah, definitely.
All the Far Cries.
I think like all the Far Cries are like about the villains. I haven't played too many Far Cries, but I've played quite a bit of Far Cry 5, and I've enjoyed that one a lot.
That is actually the only one I've played, and I liked it
Yeah.
so much that I'm ready for Far Cry 6.
Nice.
I haven't even tried to go back and play the older ones. I just don't. I don't know. But Far Cry 5 was fun.
I played a little bit of Far Cry 3. My friend was like, dude, Far Cry 3, you got to play this game. And
Right.
I was like, it's okay. Like, but yeah. Okay, so yours are Halo and Far Cry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think those are two solid choices. Yeah, I'm really excited for the new Halo. I'm really excited that they're like, yeah, the multiplayer is going to be free. You can just play the multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
We need another Halo multiplayer frenzy going on around the world.
For sure.
If you go play right now, it's all the diehard Halo people that never gave it up.
Yeah, they're just going to kill you.
And you're just going to get sniped from every... Yeah. You there's no way.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think two games. I'm going to say 2.5. Mm-hmm. Obviously, number one for me was the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Right.
I had my jaw literally dropped watching that trailer. And then they said 2022. I'm a little doubtful about that because of how many times they delayed Breath of the Wild. They delayed Breath of the Wild so many times.
Right.
But I'm a little confident that that they're going to be reusing a lot of assets from Breath of the Wild to make the development a little faster. So hopefully 2022 is actually the date it comes out. Super excited for that. Cannot wait. I'm definitely going to quit my job and just play that. And then when I beat the game, try to get my job back. And the other one that really caught my interest is Starfield. The Bethesda game.
Did they have a trailer for that, or was it just an announcement?
I think there was a trailer for that, if I remember.
Okay,
right.
I haven't seen that one yet. I saw that they announced it, and I am very excited about that one.
Yeah, that game. It looks like it's going to be pretty fun. I mean, a lot of fun, pretty fun. Mm-hmm. It just looks like there's going to be so much to do in that game, and like somebody was calling it like a Han Solo. Yeah, they're calling it like a Han Solo like simulator, and yeah, I mean like there's still not a lot of information out on it yet, but I'm extremely interested in that and plan on playing that when that comes out.
Yeah, that one looks good. Yeah. Very excited about that. There's a lot of good games, and there's a lot that came out last year that are delayed that I'm still waiting for.
Yeah. I feel like this year they didn't really say a whole lot of new stuff. It was just a lot of like, here's the progress on the stuff we already announced.
Right.
Yeah. And real quick, my half game that so like 2.5 is the remake, not even remake, it's just like a re-release of Advance Wars 1 and 2 for the Switch, which were these older Game Boy Advance games, and they're coming to the Switch. A+ on that. Loved those games growing up. Cannot wait to play those again.
What were they?
They're like...
What are they called?
Advance Wars.
Advance Wars.
Came out for the Game Boy Advance. And they're basically like Fire Emblem, where it's like a tactical game where you have to, like move your units around and like Unit 1, Unit A can beat Unit B, but Unit B can beat Unit C, but Unit C beats Unit A kind of a thing, you know? Right. And yeah, it's just like a fun game for the Game Boy Advance back in the day, and it's made by the same people who made Fire Emblem, and it's just fun. A lot of fun games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for, I'm excited about Gotham Knights.
Oh, yeah.
That one looked fun. And I am also very excited about the Harry Potter game.
Oh, yeah. They talked about that, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know those were announced much earlier, but yeah, I think they gave a little more detail on the progress and release dates and things on those. So
yeah.
That'll be cool. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, okay. Who do you think won E3 from what you've seen?
I would say Nintendo.
Okay.
And I think it goes back to that discussion we had about Sony when you ranted about Sony and
Yeah.
PlayStation. Because I do see Nintendo is like the god of video games, or the king, if you will. And PlayStation and Xbox are the two princes that are always fighting, and they'll never be as good as their dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Nintendo won too, because I think Nintendo had 3 punches that like really landed for me. One was obviously the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Right.
I think that's automatically going to be a big punch when Breath of the Wild was the game of the year when it came out and won like 100 billion awards. So yeah, I think that's a big punch. I think the other one that was really big was the Metroid game that they're releasing.
Right.
So we have Metroid Prime 4 coming out, and they're working on that at some point. But then they're releasing a Metroid Prime, or not Metroid Prime, but just a Metroid 2D game, bringing it back to its roots. Yeah. And I know a lot of people were like, yes. And
so
I was
Metroid 4 will be a like first or third person.
Yeah, Metroid
3D.
Metroid's weird where it has like the regular Metroid series, and then there's Metroid Prime, which was like a different timeline kind of a thing.
Okay.
And that one was like in first person.
Okay, I didn't get that from the announcement. I just saw the 2D one and I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be the other one.
No, they're two separate games. So you have you have the Metroid that they just announced, and you have Metroid Prime 4 that they're making.
I played which one was on the Wii?
Metroid Prime 3 was the one that was released for the Wii, but then they remade Metroid Prime 1 and 2 to work for the Wii, like to use the Wii controller on that. So
right.
Yeah, it's
I played 3 then, and I really liked that game.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I mean, all 3 of them are really good.
Yeah. I would say Nintendo won by far.
I think Microsoft put up a solid fight for second place, though.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I don't really remember much from PlayStation.
I don't really think they did a whole lot, honestly. I know they kind of did, the sequel to, I can't even remember what that game's called.
Like The Last of Us, or one of those. That one's still been delayed. I can't remember.
No, is that one not out yet? I actually don't even know.
I think it was delayed for a long time, and I don't know if it's out
Horizon
yet.
Zero Dawn is the game that I'm talking about. They've got their sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right.
I thought Last of Us Part 2 was out, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me check.
I haven't played those games. I've never owned a PlayStation, so I don't know. One thing I want to say about Nintendo is that I don't know how to say this the right way. Everybody kind of has their own preference when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox. Those are the ones that everyone argues about. It's like, are you a PS5 or an Xbox Series X person? Which one are you getting? Some people get both. If you can get both, good for you. But then everybody that is fighting about PS5 and Xbox, or the new PlayStation and the new Xbox, everybody that's doing that also has a Switch or the latest Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got a Nintendo. It's got the most accessible, and by accessible I mean like it's for everybody type of games. Like you can sit down with your family and play Mario Kart. You can sit down by yourself and play, Breath of the Wild or whatever. They've got really good quality games. They've got their own style. They're not in like the graphics wars like PlayStation and Xbox are. It's not like this game's in 4K for Nintendo because it's like cartoon animation type stuff. But they're definitely in the lead, and I don't see them falling back ever because of that. Because they have established themselves as their own thing. They don't have a competitor, basically.
Yeah, they do their own
for
thing.
What they do.
Yeah. It's I can see myself being a happy Nintendo fan for the rest of my short life.
Right. I'm also excited about the Super Mario Golf. Just because. Looks fun.
Yeah, that one does look fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to our final topic of the day, Mitch.
Okay.
I want to rant with you.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about Harry Potter.
Big ol' HP.
Yep. And
I can throw out some rants.
Yeah, I know you can. I know, and that's why I want to have this rant with you.
Okay.
Because I think that like the way that power works in Harry Potter is bullshit.
Now my question already is, again, I've studied Harry Potter.
Yes, I know.
This is my strong point. You're strong in everything else we talk about, but this is where I'm not saying I know more than you. I'm just saying this is where I can hold my own here.
I'm sure you know more than me in Harry Potter.
Now, are you considering both? Are you just considering the books, or are you considering all of it?
I'm considering all of it.
Okay.
I'm considering all of it, and basically, what I am trying to get at, like, what it is like, Dumbledore is the most powerful wizard. No, it's Voldemort. Voldemort thinks he's the most powerful wizard. And then it's like, oh, like Snape is actually pretty high
Very
up
powerful.
there.
Yeah.
And like, oh,
Sirius Black might have been if they gave him a chance.
Sirius Black, I don't know how strong he was. I don't know how strong James was. Neville was very weak at the beginning of the series. Like, and like,
right.
Look, how do you measure that? What makes a powerful magical user in Harry Potter?
What makes a great wizard?
Is it that they are knowledgeable, that they've done like they've learned secrets of magic, or is there like, no, they're like, because when Harry is taking, I think it's in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when he's taking his OWLs, he's like, he does a Patronus, and they're like, oh, a Patronus is very complicated magic. It takes a powerful wizard to do a Patronus properly.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and like the guy who's administering the test is like, if I remember correctly, is like, oh man, I was here when Dumbledore was doing his OWLs. And like that wizard was so talented, was so powerful. He was doing stuff with a wand I've never seen before. So like, does Dumbledore just have like an innate ability that just makes him powerful? And then he just so happened to also learn like hidden magic that like buffs him up even more? Like, how does that work? They don't ever explain that.
I have an analogy.
Okay.
That might help. I'm not trying to defend this because I get your point. And I don't know how to measure it either. But I was thinking of, when you're talking about that, I was kind of thinking of like musicians. Because I think that is kind of similar, where it's like, is it based on how many songs they know and can play from their brain, or is it how good they are at like improvisation and being able to whip up a solo on the spot, or is it just their overall skill on a guitar or singing or whatever, or is it just, I mean, some musicians suck and they got where they are because they know somebody.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same way, where it's like,
But what like gets me off about this though is in the Goblet of Fire, when Barty Crouch as Mad Eye Moody is teaching them about the unforgivable curses, and he's like, okay, like this is the Cruciatus, this is the Imperius, okay, this is the Avada Kedavra spell, this instantly kills anyone if they get hit by it. And like, there's two things that are said that I feel like, okay, so the first one is, he says, all of you guys could do the spell right now, aim it right at me, but it requires a powerful bit of magic. Yeah. And if any of you guys did that right now, I doubt I would get more than a bloody nose.
Right.
Like, wait, what is that? Like, what do you mean it requires a powerful bit of magic? How does that work? Like,
that's a good question.
Is magic taxing on you? Like, when you do a spell, does it, like, is there like a secret stamina bar of like mana that like, oh man, I did that spell and it took up like a quarter of my mana, like I'm pretty tired now? Or like, and it's just like, oh yeah, I can't
It
cast
has
the spell.
endurance.
Yeah, I can't cast the spell because I don't have enough mana to cast that spell. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it. They never explained that. But like,
I do think that is somewhere where the universe lacks, where the Harry Potter universe lacks. It doesn't explain what it takes to become a great wizard.
I'm not even talking about because a great wizard, that's subjective. Like that is a subjective term. Like Albus Dumbledore.
But to your point, like, what is it that makes them great?
Yeah. How do you level up in Harry Potter? Is my question.
What is it? Yeah. What is it? What's the criteria?
Because, and then like there's a quote out there that I don't know if like it's canon or like, whatever, but J.K. Rowling has said in the first 3 books, if Harry and Hermione got in a fight, Hermione would win. And then she's like, but after the 4th book, if they got into a fight, Harry would win, because then she's like, Hermione is just so much more knowledgeable than Harry is. Yeah. But then by the 4th book, training for the tournament, Harry just becomes more knowledgeable. But then I think she says something about like, and his like just natural talent is just greater than Hermione's.
Okay.
And it's just like, well, wait, hold on. Again, confused. And then maybe you know better than me on this point, but in the 4th book, they're like, the Avada Kedavra curse, nothing can block it. There's no counter spell or anything like that. But then, like, don't they block it in like the later books? Like,
no, not in the books. In the movies, I think they do.
In the movies, they do. Okay, yeah, maybe
that's why I asked at the beginning. Yeah, is it the books or the because there is a difference with the magic and the powers.
No, yeah, I know that. Yeah, and I've been trying to keep it. To the books, and I think I've been doing that so far.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
But like, it's just like
if I remember right, I don't think they ever blocked it, but
yeah,
it might have happened.
Yeah.
I just can't remember it.
But yeah,
I haven't reread them in a long time.
I haven't read them for a hot minute either. But yeah, that's just like my one thing where it's just like, okay, who's more powerful? Harry Potter? Like at the end of the 6th book, at the end of the Half-Blood Prince, who's more powerful? Yeah. Draco Malfoy or Harry Potter?
Right.
I have no idea. Idea who's more powerful. Especially if we're like, okay, Ron or Draco Malfoy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay, Neville Longbottom or Draco Malfoy. I think Draco's more powerful than Neville, even at the end of the 6th book.
Right.
You're like, well,
but why?
But like, yeah, I don't know why. I don't like. Even though you might not like the answer in Star Wars, there you can say like there is a power scaling that you can look at and be like, okay, I get that. Like,
but then if you want to get into that, I would argue, why is Rey so powerful? Is it genetics?
Yeah, I think that's
what makes her.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about Rey is the daughter.
No training, and she holds her own in a fight against Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and I think that's where you kind of like where you look at like, well, Rey is technically the daughter of a clone of Palpatine.
Right.
So, and like Palpatine is like one of the most powerful Force users ever in Star Wars.
But is that because he was born with it and it's genetic, or is it because he's built that up over a long period of time?
Yeah, and that's both. But like, he's definitely like his midichlorian count is like in canon extremely high. So if you want to just look at like oh yeah, like there's that, and so
that's how they would measure in the Star Wars universe. They would measure by the midichlorian count.
You have midichlorians
from the base.
Yes. Yeah.
The starting point of a Force user.
That's why you can look at somebody like, okay, Anakin, at the end of episode 3, like we know he's
off the charts.
Yeah, we know that he's powerful because, and then like you're like, okay, yeah, because of his midichlorian count and like whatever. But then you could also look at Anakin and go, he's only like 22 or whatever he's supposed to be in episode 3, and his achievements are like he's able to keep up with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
who has been doing this for like twice as long as Anakin has.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's able to keep up with like at no point is Anakin hindering Obi-Wan.
No,
when he's doing his missions, like or anything like that. And so
no,
like
they're like tag teaming it.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, and like I think like that's like where you can look at like, okay, Obi-Wan is like up here, and Anakin is like right there, if not like maybe even a step ahead of that. Like you can
And to that point, back to Harry Potter,
mm-hmm.
that's kind of how Harry is treated in all of the missions he goes on. In like Prisoner of Azkaban, for example, like
right.
He's saves Sirius. He saves
right, but
he does all this stuff. But how did he get to that point, and why can he do that?
There's that, but then there's also just the consistency of problem of it too.
Yeah.
That I find in Harry Potter, where it's like, oh yeah, he was able to save Sirius in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to go toe to toe with
Voldemort,
albeit briefly,
4.
But with the Death Eaters in 5. Like I feel like that's where like
Eaters,
he's actually kind of on his own for a bit. It's actually just him and like the Order of Phoenix, or not the Order of Phoenix, Dumbledore's army. And like when it comes to the Order of the Phoenix, he is probably number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
Like maybe Hermione, but like again, it's probably Harry is like the most powerful one. And he's going head to head with Lucius Malfoy. He's going head to head with like, these other Death Eaters.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, like Harry kind of up there, and then like and then like the power scale gets messed up because then we see Voldemort and Dumbledore dueling. And even like in the movies and in the books, it's just like completely outshines Harry Potter.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, okay, like, but that makes sense. This is Dumbledore and this is Voldemort. Like, okay. And then in the next book, in Half-Blood Prince, Harry's gotten a little better. Presumably, it's a year later,
right?
And Snape just mops the floor with him.
Right.
Just it's not a contest. Every spell he tries to do, Snape is just able to counter it easily. And then Snape's like, "You should have mastered saying your spells in your head, boy." But even still, like, he goes from like competing with the Death Eaters in book 5 to like Snape just completely just owning him.
Right.
And then, and then again in 7, it's like, there's just like no, like for me, there's no consistency. I cannot say like, okay, like for Star Wars, I try not to power scale too much in Star Wars, but if I had to, I could do like a hierarchy of power.
Yeah.
And then like, I think the best example to use is Dragon Ball Z. Like Dragon Ball Z, I can go like, okay, yeah, here's where this person is, here's where this person is, here's where this person was in this saga, and this is how much they've increased in the next saga. Like I can do all of that with Power Rangers, or not Power Rangers.
I kind of feel like this is a flaw that is masked by the actions of the characters.
Right.
Where Harry defeating Voldemort makes him a great wizard, but they don't really get into why. I mean, they do talk about why and how he beat him, but like, why is he able to do that and not hold his own in certain other situations?
But yeah, like if Harry didn't have the Deathly Hallows and he went and fought Voldemort, like he would presumably die. Like,
right.
If Harry,
does that make Dumbledore the greatest wizard because he ultimately defeated?
Yeah,
because he kind of set it up to where he would have the Deathly Hallows.
But I would say Dumbledore is the most powerful wizard that we've seen by the rules, even though they contradict themselves, I think, and merely because he beat Grindelwald while Grindelwald had the Elder Wand.
Right.
I'm presuming we're going to see that, I think, in the movies. But like, yeah, I would imagine by doing that, that would be like the highest achievement in power that has been done.
Agreed.
That we are aware of as a reader, at least.
This is a point I've never thought about. I didn't really, I guess I didn't really care to think about it because it just kind of get lost in the story and the world and everything. But now that you're bringing that up, it's a good point. Like what the power scale, like what is it?
Well, it always bothered me, even when I was in elementary school, by reading the 4th book. I just remember reading the 4th book, and he's like, if you did the Avada Kedavra spell, it wouldn't work. Like, you need a bit of you need a powerful bit of magic to use it. And I'm like, okay, like, what does that mean? And it's like, I don't think anybody doubts that by the Deathly Hallows, if Harry did Avada Kedavra on someone, he would kill someone.
Right.
But it's like, I also find it hard to believe that like Harry couldn't do it in the fourth book either. It's like, okay, yeah, Neville maybe, but like, is it technique? Is it Leviosa, not Leviosa? Like, is that where power comes from? Is it like enunciation technique, in studies, or is there like a latent ability that every wizard has?
I think my musician analogy is a killer one, because I'm sitting here thinking, what makes in a scenario, and you might not know these people, but like Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's a really good blues guitar player. In what, like, where does he stand against like Jimi Hendrix?
Right.
Or, where does, I don't know, where does...
Yeah. I think
I don't know.
I think your analogy works, because like at the end of the day, people will be like, well, Jimi Hendrix might be a great guitarist, but like, like his technique was actually really bad because he played it upside down and left-handed. Like his actual technique of playing the guitar is
wrong.
It's wrong, so therefore it's inferior and therefore not as good. Like,
but then you could argue, but doesn't that make him better because he's playing it backwards?
Yeah.
Can Stevie Ray Vaughan play it backwards? Can he play a left-handed guitar with his right hand?
Yeah, like whatever. So like, yeah, I just, like with athletes, right? We can be like, okay, no, like the reason why, Tom Brady is so good is because like, yeah, there is like some genetic makeup over there that, made him that puts him in that athlete class.
Yeah.
Because like obviously, like when you're an athlete, there are genetics involved. You have to be, able to put on muscle. You have to be able to run. All of that is kind of genetic. But then you're like, okay, well, Tom Brady, I know that like that dude studies film every single day. That dude pays a personal chef to, cook his
almond.
To make down to the macronutrient. I know when Tom Brady, when it's football season, Tom Brady does not sip on alcohol. He doesn't drink alcohol at all. Like, like, so like, I know like for like that case, it's like, it is like work ethic, genetics, and, intelligence, Tom, whatever. But like, there is nothing in Harry Potter to indicate anything.
Well, I think to solve this, maybe we would need to know what is magic? Where does it come from?
Yeah.
Why does it choose certain people? Like Hermione, she doesn't have magical parents. So how is it that she has magical ability?
And there's no,
and she's got it to a degree that she's ahead of everybody right from the get-go. And is that because she just likes to read?
Yeah, I think that's the idea of Hermione is that like she was just a bookworm and she just read everything she could get her hands on. But like, there is like weird stuff where like it's not exactly answered of like magic is genetic.
Yeah. We don't have the answers of what is magic.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, and like I know, as Brandon Sanderson would say, it's a soft magic system.
Yeah.
But like I think the idea behind like Muggle-borns is that like it's like being a redhead or having green eyes, or whatever. It's like, oh no, like it's just a recessive trait, and like it just so happens
they can trace it back to
they can trace it back to someone and then go like, oh yeah, but look, your father and your mother both had the recessive trait, and then like just so happened that the recessive trait got passed on to you, and that's how you got this. Like, like,
but going back to like the beginning of time,
like,
where did magic come from?
What is magic? How does it work? And then like obviously like even though it's a soft magic system in Harry Potter, like there are times that J.K. Rowling like puts rules on it, and like it's not. I don't think it's a hard magic system, but she is like, oh yeah, like you can't transfigure a rock into food.
Right.
You can turn food into more food, but you can't turn not food into food. And it's like, well, why is that? Like, what, like, is that like a truth, or is it just like there's not been somebody who's come along yet and
is it like a law of physics type of thing?
Because like I feel like if you're transfiguring something, you're playing around with the molecules and you're just like rearranging the atoms and the molecules to transfigure it from A to B.
Right.
So like if you're just better at it somehow, you could probably find a way to transfigure it to that. I don't know. I don't know how that's even how magic works. Like, because the magic is strange. Again, like a Patronus charm only works if you have a happy thought. Like, okay, like what does that mean?
It's like pixie dust.
Yeah, my happy thought is when I'm Voldemort. My happy thought is when I killed Harry's parents. Man, that was awesome. Like,
yeah, and going into, if you start bringing in the movies, and if you want to go even farther into the Fantastic Beasts, there's so many more inconsistencies with magic that just make me want to freak out.
Is the Obscuro or whatever? Are we led to believe that that's canon in the books? Because are
you talking about Credence when he's like the dark shadow creature?
Right.
I don't know.
Because
I think so, because we're led to believe that Albus's or Dumbledore's sister.
That's what happened to his sister.
That's what happened to her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it never explains it in the books. It just says that she had fits, basically.
Right.
And so yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. But there's other things, like smaller things, but just nagging. Like when I think it's in the second one when Newt Scamander is like trying to solve a crime of some kind. He's trying to track down somebody, and he pulls out this dust or does a spell. I can't remember, but it basically shows everything back in time in like this.
Yeah.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
So he can kind of trace the steps of this person. He sees everything. And it's like, do you know how many problems would have been solved in the books? Right. And this is in the 1920s. This is 70 plus years before.
We could have just done that to see who put Harry's name in the Goblet of Fire.
We could have seen who opened the freaking Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, that's it.
And then Voldemort may have never gotten as far as he did.
Yeah.
Hagrid wouldn't have been expelled.
The other one that's really weird, that I don't get is like the underage spell or charm or whatever, where if you're underage and you do magic, the Ministry knows that you did magic.
I think that's like a governmental something that they like cast over. I don't know how they do it, when you're just like cast it over.
When you're born, like when your wizard child is born, and they're like, okay, like we need to put this charm over them, like. And then that's how you get your tax rebate. Like
it's like a Catholic baptism.
But
dip them in the pensive, and they'll be tracked for 17 years.
Yeah, until they're 17.
Yeah.
But then, what doesn't make sense is if you do it within the confines of.
Like self-defense or something?
No, not even that. It's like if you do it around people who aren't underage, there's no way of knowing who did the magic. Remember that? That's in the books, right?
Well, that's in the third one, right?
I don't remember like what book that's in.
When he blows up Aunt Marge.
that's in the 7th, because there's something about how like Harry that's really like the first time they really go into detail about the trace, and they're like, no, like you can do magic, or maybe it's the 6th one. It's like you can do magic outside of school, and like the Ministry has no way of knowing it. The Ministry just relies on parents to enforce the law.
But then how did they know Harry?
Because Harry's not by anyone.
Oh.
Like Harry is like alone. So like when there is a ping where like, on Privet Drive, they're like, well, the only person who can do that is Harry. And that's why they thought Harry did magic when Dobby was doing magic. Because they're like the only person who can do magic is Harry. So it has to be Harry. So that would mean that like even when an adult is doing magic, it's pinging. They're just like, oh, it's fine. Like, so yeah, like that's like now that I'm actually like saying this out loud, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, it just kind of puts limits on the characters. It doesn't. I mean, it's part of, like in the third book, it's part of it. The fifth book, it's part of it. Like the underage magic thing.
Right.
The second book, it's part of it.
So like they must be constantly tracking wizards and witches, and then they know, okay, this is where Harry Potter is. Okay, a spell just went off, and we know Harry Potter was over here. But then, like, if Fred and George were doing magic at the Burrow, they would be like, okay, magic's going off at the Burrow, but that makes sense. Like, you've got Arthur and Molly and Charlie and Bill and now Percy. So like all of them can do magic. We don't know that it's Fred and George, for example.
Yeah. And back to the main point of like the power scale. Like this is the kind of stuff that makes it confusing. The inconsistencies.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? Like it's never fully explained. And she might have an explanation that would, satisfy this argument. But what is it? Like you got to go back. You got to go back farther to see what is magic. How do people get infused with its power and are able to channel it through a wand? And, what makes them powerful?
And I'm like pulling up the Harry Potter wiki right now, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's like a bunch of inconsistencies. Like Hermione Granger saying she tried a few simple spells just prior to her first year at Hogwarts.
Right.
But apparently she never received any notifications.
Right.
And then,
maybe there's a point where like Muggleborn's like,
maybe
she wasn't registered or something.
Yeah, she wasn't registered. Her parents never got the tax rebate from the ministry, so that's
she didn't have a wizarding social security number.
That's also why in the sixth book, we know that like Voldemort killed his father or his parents, and then like he took the wand and put it back to his uncle who he knocked out.
Right.
Like that's why he was able to beat like that. It doesn't make sense, or it's just dumb because there's no way for the ministry to actually enforce this law. And the people who they enforce the law on are the people like the marginalized individuals like Harry Potter, who was never told about these rules. And like every time he's accused of magic, he either A, didn't do it, or B, was well within the use of the law for self-defense. So this law is just hurting people and it cannot be enforced.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was a lawyer in Harry Potter, I'd be like, go to like the ministry's version of the Supreme Court and be like, we need to toss this thing out. It doesn't make sense. You can't enforce it because you rely on the parents to enforce this, and there's no way of knowing that the parents are going to enforce this.
Well, this is the last thing I'll say about this.
Yeah.
Then we'll finish up. But what I want to see that would help with this type of inconsistencies and power ranking and things like that, I want to see a book or a TV series or movie or something of the beginning of the wizarding world.
The first wizard.
Yeah. How did it start? And then also I would love to see some futuristic stuff where maybe they decide to start dabbling with the Muggle ways.
Yeah.
Security cameras to monitor if they're using their powers outside of school.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're moving on right now.
Yeah.
There are a couple of times though in the Harry Potter books even where it's like, I would rather be a Muggle and use electricity to do this than use your convoluted way of magic to get the same thing. So,
like a light.
Yeah.
Instead of a lamp.
Yeah, like that. That's a weird one. That's a perfect example though. I would rather have
a light switch.
Yeah, I'd rather have my Philips Hue.
Yeah.
And my phone, because that's the other thing too is the only way we can instantly communicate with each other is through a Patronus.
Right.
Oh, but isn't a Patronus complicated magic? It sure is.
On like telephone and an owl.
So like if I'm like 14 years old and I can't do a Patronus, but I'm being attacked by Dementors, who do I call for help? You don't.
You don't. Yeah.
Do you have any flu powder on you, sir? And
you just have to hope that someone's there to save the day.
Yeah, maybe you could go and find yourself a chimney and use your flu powder.
To enter, and who knows if the other side of that is you can go in their living room waiting for you to.
The Orwers might not be in right now. It is 9:30 after all. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good rant.
That's a rant that like I had to. Turns out it went a lot of different directions, but heck yeah, man, that's
There's a lot of things to rant about in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I could probably rant about something in every movie, every book, and I could rant about the entire Fantastic Beasts garbage.
Yeah.
We got to do a Cursed Child rant sometime.
Oh, dude, I don't think I ever finished the Cursed Child. Like I've read a synopsis of it after that. But like let's definitely rant about that. Do you guys want to hear us rant about the Cursed Child? Let us know. Let us know if you want to hear that, because let's rant about that.
It'll be one of the remaining 9,900
episodes. 10,000 is the one that we rant about.
You have to wait for a long time. Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps it up.
That's it for this week.
Yeah.
This episode, I guess, because this is going to go live on Monday, right?
Yeah, Monday. I'll throw it out Monday. And then Thursday, you're going to have our weekly update. Yep.
So that's it, guys.
Last week today will be on Thursday.
Last week today will be on Thursdays. What should we call this segment? Just chilling? Let's talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, just moderately interesting topics.
This is just moderately interesting podcast. We hope you think this was moderately interesting.
We do. We do hope so.
Make sure, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Mm-hmm. If you have not already, please make a review for us, because we like reading them, and helps grow the channel. And
or just hit the 5 stars.
Yeah, just hit that 5-star button. Takes 1 second for you.
Or less.
1 second for you makes us super happy. So,
And we know from our analytics that most of you are listening on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, like overwhelmingly people are.
Yes.
So, drop a review. Please share it with your friends. Please share it with your family. Please share it with your dog. Just share it. Share it so we can get to more people. So we can talk to more people. So we can just do more. So we can do more stuff.
Do it. Yeah.
And
yeah, we really like doing this. So let us know how we can improve.
Let's sign off
for the listeners. Yeah.
Why don't you start the sign off this time?
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Rachel.
Where's Rachel?
Make sure
it always comes back around.
Make sure to tip your lifeguards, friends. Bye-bye.